Ka jingilang jong ka kenhun menteri ha ka siningkong kalarai ban penkelano ya ka megalia factory rules ka babu kendo ni Karkhana ban Pynbiang ik PPE kumju ya ki sanitary part nakamta ki Nongtrei jongki ha ka ju opor ka Sorkar jela kala menjuru ya ka dor thamai na banta ban pentri kam ya ka ganol stage 1 small hydro project sakador sanspa new folklor na ka lai spa sanfluklur ka dor ka barim ka Sorkar kalarai ban thung yu chief secretary barim ka jela ba PS thank you kum chairman ka megalia street food commission ba ka kong yamon lang siempat kum ka chairperson jang ka megalia state commission for protection of child right nalor kini la donru sakiwi kiwi pat kirai kiba ka kenhun menteri kasim kenthop ikbai dei bat ka water resources pat kwi kiwi.
The Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, had requested the state government to incorporate the model factories rules regarding the provision of sanitary napkins for the women workers under the Factories Act 1948, and also to incorporate the model factories rules regarding personal protective equipments under the Factories Act 1948. So, as you all know, the Factories Act 1948 is an act dealing in matters related to safety, health and welfare, etc. of the workers. So this matter was discussed in the Cabinet today. The suggestions of the Law Department was placed before the Cabinet, and therefore the approval of the Cabinet was sought to amend Rule number 45 and Rule 78C. And after due discussion, this proposal was agreed upon for the amendment of Rules 45 and Rule 78C. In Sub-Rule B of Rule 45 of the Meghalaya Factories Rules 1980, hereinafter known as the Principal Rules, for the figure 10 appeared in between the word every and thereafter shall be substituted by the figure 50. So this is in regards to the number of toilets per person. So earlier it was for every 10 persons there must be a toilet, and now it has been substituted by the figure 50. After sub-rule B of the following new sub-rules C and sub-rules D shall be added, namely in subpara C, sanitary napkins of adequate quantity conforming to Indian standards shall be provided and maintained in the women's toilets for their use and the same replenished on daily basis. D. Disposable bins with lids shall be provided within the women's toilets for the collection of the used napkins. The used napkins shall be disposed of as per the procedure approved by the inspector. Then amendments to Rule 78C. For the Rule 78C of the Principal Rules, the following new rules shall be substituted, namely personal protective equipment. 1. All workers should mandatorily be provided with personal protective equipment as required under any of the provisions of the Act or the rules, and such PPEs shall conform to the relevant national standard. The occupier shall require the workers to use such PPEs, and the same shall be maintained in proper working condition by the occupier. No charge whatsoever shall be charged by the occupier from the workers for provision of such personal protective equipment. 2. Without prejudice to the generality of the provisions of Sub-Rule 1, the various types of personal protective equipment to which this rule shall extend for use in factories shall be prescribed below. And there are many of them, namely safety helmet, protective footwear, safety goggles and spectacles, equipment for eye and face protection during welding, gloves and protective clothing, ear protection when exposed to noise, respiratory protection and other protective equipment. Okay. And the last amendment is pertaining to the deletion of Sec Rule 78D. So this was just a repetition of the protective gear. So this has been proposed to be deleted. So these are the amendments to the Meghalaya Factories Rules 1980. As you all know, the Garnwal project was originally accorded administrative approval in the year 2008. Due to many reasons, the cost of the project, the estimate was revised, and there was a revision to the cost in the year 2013, where the approved cost for the implementation of the project was approved at rupees 332.68 crores. This is at the 2012 price level. And then in 2014, the project cost had to be revised again on account of increase in the cost of land as per the New Land Acquisition Act 2013, and it was revised to 356.43. However, administrative approval was accorded for this 356.43 only in the year 2019. In the meantime, the Central Water Commission (CWC), which was the consultant for the project, revised the drawings, and this led to the increase in the quantity of several components. To add to this, there were certain geological surprises at the project site, which also led to increased quantities. So, MEPGCL has they revised the cost of the project further from 356.43 crores to 507.71 crores. And this current revised cost estimate is based on the 2019 price level. So the abstract of the revised cost, you want me to read it out? Comes to loan 223.11, equity 54, grant 229, so coming to a total of 507.71 crores. 507.71. It was proposed before the Cabinet today to approve the revised cost estimate 2019 for the completion of Garnwal Stage 1 small hydro project, which is for 22.5 megawatts at an amount of rupees 507.71 crores, to approve a state development loan at an amount of rupees 50.00 crores, to allow MEPGCL to avail a loan for an amount of rupees 173.11 crores from financial institutions, and to increase the borrowing limit of MEPGCL for the purpose. So these proposals were placed before the Cabinet, and the Cabinet was informed of the views of the Finance Department, which made certain observations and which have agreed to the proposed Cabinet memo subject to certain conditions, namely that the proposed SDL, that is the State Development Loan, will be considered immediately to facilitate the recommencement of the work, while in the meantime the loan of 123.11 crores for financial institutions can be processed. Secondly, the interest and repayment of the SDL loans will have to be made by the MECL, and to ensure regular payment of the loan, a redemption reserve fund of 10 years is to be created. This account is to be operated jointly by MECL and the Finance Department of Government of Meghalaya. Thirdly, a loan agreement is to be executed between the MECL and the state government to ensure the service redemption of the SDL. As you all know, the previous chairperson of the Meghalaya State Food Commission was Shri B.K. Dev Barma, whose tenure came to an end with effect from the 2nd of February 2020, and the member legal, whose tenure ended on the 21st of October 2019. So there was a search committee that was constituted for selection of the members whose posts fell vacant, and accordingly these names were brought up for the consideration of the cabinet, and the panel of names recommended, the search committee, recommended the names of Shri P.S. Thank You, IS retired, as chairman, Dr. Greenalin K. Marak, retired superintendent of the Tura Civil Hospital, as member of the Meghalaya State Food Commission from the medical profession, and also it was recommended for the renewal of the tenure of Shri Ravi Gurung as the member from the legal side. So these names were placed before the cabinet. The views of personnel was that they agreed to the appointment of chairman, member and extension of the service of Shri Ravi Gurung. Finance also has no objections. So therefore this was placed before the cabinet and the names of all these three were approved. Regarding the reconstitution of the Meghalaya State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So it was proposed in the cabinet today to approve the name of Srimati Yamonlang MCM as chairperson of the commission, and the following members as members of the commission, namely 1. Srimati Shannon Donna Massar, Srimati Yorika Shilla, Srimati Flavina P. Marak, Sri Mertnath K. Marak, Srimati Tiana Tarin T. Areng, and Dr. Ivamon Lalu. So these 6 members, which is including the chairperson, these names were put up for approval to the cabinet, and these names were accordingly approved by the cabinet. There are vacancies numbering 13, namely 6 assistant engineers from civil background, 1 assistant engineer electrical, 10 junior engineers from civil, and 1 junior engineer electrical. This matter was brought to the cabinet because at present the Department of Water Resources is facing problems due to acute shortage of manpower, especially at the field level.